If is the latest movie directed by John Krasinski, and I got a chance to check this out a week earlier before official release on early previews, and this may be the surprise movie of 2024. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel and thank you for taking your time out to check out this review. My name's Mike and today we're here to talk about If. Now this has got an all-star stellar cast, but the main 2-3 people that we mainly focus on is Ryan Reynolds, Cailey Fleming, John Krasinski and Fiona Shaw. Then we've got an all-star studded voice cast. I'm not going to go into all the names, guys, I'll be here all day. And this tells the story of a character of Cailey Fleming, who plays a character called B. Now, her dad, played by John Krasinski, is in hospital as he's awaiting an operation. In this meantime, she's evaluating her life. A lot of stuff is going on, and all of a sudden, she sees these creatures wandering around, known as imaginary friends, or ifs, that they're called here. Hence the title of the movie. And leading through this, she comes across Ryan Reynolds' character, and those two team up to find a permanent home for these ifs, whether that is with a new kid or reconnecting these ifs to their original owners. Now this is definitely an interesting movie and a concept I've not personally seen done before. Now maybe there is similar things and themes here compared to other movies that you guys may have seen before, but this was definitely a really big surprise because I'll be honest, I saw the trailer, I thought, this looks quite cute. And even my partner Emma had seen the trailer and she thought the same. But I did go on a solo trip to see this one. And I was thinking, this might be a fun enough movie. But this is definitely a movie that was a really surprise hit. But also kind of left me with some questions. The first question I've mainly got is, here in the UK, this movie age rating is a U, right? Which pretty much means universal. Anyone can go see it. You don't really have to be an age, maybe like 3-4 years old minimum, to see this. There's a lot of themes here I feel as if would go over a young person's head pretty easily, unless they're around maybe like age 9, 10, 11, 12, that kind of bracket. I personally would have rated this film a 12A here in the UK, meaning you have to be 12 years old to see it, or if you're under that age with an adult, because there's a lot of themes and a lot of messages touched on here that, as I say, will go over their head. And I also think that this movie is made kind of more for adults, because at the helm of it, you've got a story about grief, you've got a story about loss, tragedy, about nostalgia and memories and stuff that can really comfort you in moments where you might have depression or anxiety, or moments where you are feeling on top of the world, kind of cloud nine, and you've got maybe someone there with you, which again, in this scenario, is an imaginary friend. So those themes alone would go over a lot of people's head and maybe would go underappreciated. And that's what I felt mostly as if will be for certain audiences. However, I definitely have got to say that this movie is fun. Cailey Fleming as B, I thought was great. She really carried the movie. Don't get me wrong, the support with Ryan Reynolds at the helm, those two have got great chemistry and I think that they worked really, really well together. And I like, at least with this role, Ryan Reynolds didn't completely feel just as if it's Deadpool walking around with imaginary friends. He actually felt a little bit more different. He got a little bit more of a chance to deliver more serious dialogue compared to usual just comedic chops. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely Ryan Reynolds jokes here. A lot of the time he does have more script and dialogue to deal with that is more in the serious tone, and I really appreciate that because it's nice to see him do and deliver something different than the usual Ryan Reynolds shtick that we normally get. I would say the voice cast for most part work really well. Of course, the big standout, as everyone's probably going to say, is Steve Carell as Blue, which I think that for most part he does a good job. I think towards the latter half he does get a lot of the comedy that does fall kind of flat, and he does get a little bit annoying with the same expressions that we see him deliver earlier on in the movie. They kind of do it as like a rinse and repeat for a joke, and I guess for kids they might find that funny and the humour might land more with them, but for me as like a 33-year-old man watching this movie, it didn't quite work 100%. Now, for most part of this movie, I was enjoying it. I really enjoyed like the visual and the technical aspects when it comes to the special effects. The transition scenes are like seamless, as it'll go from like say like a vision like this, like background, they'll do like a full 360 spin, and by the time you get to the front, it's changed completely, but there's no like obvious cuts, or at least if there are, they're very minute where you can't even tell. It's really explored great, and the editing is fantastic. Like, these creatures, they look real, but they managed to execute in such a really good way and a really impressive way that I almost felt as if it felt very realistic to an extent, and I can definitely appreciate that. But back to my point, what I was trying to say is, for the most part, I was having fun with this movie, and I was thinking, you know, a lot of people have been seeing, my fellow YouTube peers, like Q Reviews, Lisa Loves, Ryan Swales at this point, who's covered this review as us at this recording, they've been like, oh, we're like nearly in tears, or they have been in tears, and I'm like, really? Like what is getting you to tears? But then there was one particular scene that hits, and I'm not going to tell you which one or whereabouts it's at, because that would be kind of spoilers, but once that hit, I was like, it really just kind of like knocked me back a little bit in terms of like shock, but also got me in those emotional feels, and I can completely understand those emotional aspects that my fellow YouTubers have felt, and them being close or shedding tears. I completely get it. And this movie is very heartfelt, it's very warm, it's very vibrant, it's colourful, it's got a lot to it which you maybe wouldn't expect from a movie like this, and I really appreciate them kind of pushing the boundaries, I guess, on kids movies that we get today. There wasn't so much elements where they were like, right, let's throw in every social media reference here or product placement just to have that. This felt completely opposite to that, and that's why I feel as if at some part this may get a little bit overlooked. The main gripe that I've got with If, and this is not really a spoiler, but there is a gripe that I didn't like. Now, throughout the movie, as I mentioned with the plot, it's all about connecting these ifs with their original owners or with a new child, etc. And I feel as if for the full movie they do a great job with doing that. However, when it gets to the point of right at the end, you know, the movie basically cuts, then we get kind of like a follow-on scene. Now, that follow-on scene involving our main character, Cailey Fleming, fine, I like that. But then they do something with these ifs, and they just give it like no explanation whatsoever as to how some of these other ifs reconnect or connect with new people. And I was just like, why did we need this? This felt very lazy. This was just thrown in here just for the sakes of being thrown in. And it didn't need that, because this movie could very well have a sequel where they could have explored all of that, had more stories, had more ifs connecting with more people in a really heartfelt way. But they're just like, oh, actually, yeah, here's some characters. Right, okay, well, here's some ifs. They can have them characters. And there was just no meaning or explanation around it. And it's just like, we've spent the entire movie building up this whole premise, and the fact that it can take a lot to connect an if to an owner, for all of it just to be kind of underwritten by that kind of final, you guess you could kind of say it, the credit scene. It just didn't work for me. So overall, If was definitely a good time. My overall score would be a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Are you going to check this one out, guys? Is it going to be a miss? Let me know down below in the comment section so we can continue the discussion down there. If you've liked this review, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button down below. Big thanks to all my awesome Patreons who helped us support the channel. You can join Patreon by clicking the link in the description box for only £2 per month. In the meantime, click over here and check out more content of mine that you may have missed or may have not have seen as of yet. And until the next time that I see you guys, I'll be seeing you later.